Good evening, this is Gary Kavanagh for Gript. I'm here today with John McGurk, editor of Gript. Boris Johnson has just been elected the Prime Minister of Britain. A glorious day, John?
A glorious day, and one of the hottest days I think in British history as well, and in Irish history, because as you can probably tell, it's pretty warm in here. But I think it's a very interesting day. I was listening to the Irish radio, various Irish radio stations on my car commute this morning, and you would swear to listen to them that Boris Johnson had seized power in an armed coup and was beginning to execute his opponents by firing squad. Like, that was the level of threat at which he was being presented. I think he's an interesting character. I think it's important, though, in Ireland that we remember that he's not some kind of extremist. This guy was mayor of London for 8 years. That's a city larger than, in population terms, than this island, larger than Scotland, larger than Wales. He was a very moderate, almost liberal mayor of London. He's been a senior politician now for 10, 20 years, something like that. He's not an extremist. I think ultimately Boris Johnson is somebody who wants to be remembered as a successful Prime Minister. I think his life's ambition was not just to be Prime Minister, but to be remembered as a good one. And I think the fears that the Irish establishment are expressing about him are hugely overblown.
Does he have somewhat of a Trump problem where, not that he's politically in the same place, but a lot of the complaints about him seem nearly to be more aesthetic than they are policy? People don't like how he goes about things.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of that. There's a bit of the, I think he's comparable in many ways to Tony Blair or Bill Clinton or other politicians who are good actors. I think Boris creates a persona. That persona is very carefully crafted. I think there's a kind of journalist and kind of opposition critic out there who think that they're so smart that they alone can see through the persona and must tell everyone else in the world that Boris Johnson is a fraud. But the fact is, the voters know it's a persona as well. And it's simply a matter of taste as to whether you like it or whether you don't like it. And I think a lot of people do and a lot of people don't, and we'll see how it ends up. But I think some of this overblown stuff about how, he's going to sink the United Kingdom is a bit hysterical. And I also think that our colleagues in the rest of the Irish media kind of doing the Irish people a bit of a disservice on this one, because I find it very difficult to listen to Irish radio and understand how any Briton ever votes Tory, because they're presented as uniformly villainous, which is a very partisan point of view. And I think that people are being scared and terrified in this country unnecessarily. I think Boris will try and do a deal if he can with the European Union. I think if our government are wise, they will try and meet him somewhere halfway, somewhere that prevents a hard border. If that's a time limit on the backstop, if it's something else, I think it's worth considering it. Because I think we have too much here to throw away between Britain and Ireland in a petty squabble over whether or not we like or want to give in to Boris Johnson. And I think by making it as personal as some people in the Irish establishment are, I think we're risking disaster.
So Boris, not a revolutionary seeking to burn down everything around him, but rather someone looking to make a deal, if possible.
Yes, sadly he is not a revolutionary in the way that, Margaret Thatcher was, or Ronald Reagan was, or Jeremy Corbyn would be, were he to take power. I don't think Boris is interested in overthrowing the old order at all. I think he's quite interested in being seen as a good example of the old order in action, to be honest. Again, I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding of the kind of person he is from the Irish side of things.
This has been Gary Kavanagh and John McGurk on Gript. All the best.